The Steelers defense showed up in a big way last Sunday against the Colts. Now the team heads back to the West Coast for a prime-time showdown against Justin Herbert and the Chargers. We have all the latest on the matchup coming up next as you are watching Steelers Kickoff live right here on KDKA TV.
Welcome to BetMGM Steelers Kickoff.
Good morning, everyone. It is a game day as you look at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. That's Inglewood, California. We take you inside, and that's where the Steelers will play tonight. It's the site of the matchup between two very good AFC teams, the Steelers and Chargers. Kickoff 8:20 Eastern time, a big AFC matchup for sure when you talk about tie-breaking and all the other stuff that comes with these games. And welcome inside our KDKA TV studios here in Pittsburgh, PA, for another edition of the Steelers Kickoff. I'm Bob Pompeani, along with the quarterback of the program, Mr. Charlie Batch. We're with you today. Rich Walsh and Gerry Dulac join us momentarily from the West Coast. A few hours behind us. They had to get up early, and they're raring to go. Charlie, I want to begin with you, and I know it's just one game, but how big was this for the Steelers after, especially the way those losses accumulated before that game last week?
Yeah, it was huge for them. And if they had any hopes of thinking about being the number one seed, you had to have this game here. Now, when it goes down the field as it relates to tiebreakers, now you had that head-to-head matchup with the Colts because you beat them once. So it was very critical for them to be able to get this victory.
Yeah. And that's a 7-2 team. They've beaten a few of those so far, and that's good news for the Steelers, who are coming off that huge defensive game against the Colts last week at Acrisure. Let's take a look at the Hyundai by the numbers to get a closer look at what happened in that game. You know, coming into the game, the Colts ranked first in the NFL in points per game at 34, rushing touchdowns per game, just over 2. They're also gaining over 100 yards on the ground and only letting up 1 sack per game, 1 turnover per game. But that ended in Pittsburgh. 5 sacks, 6 turnovers, less than 60 yards rushing, just 1 rushing score, and only 20 points in that matchup. And Charlie, what do you think the biggest key to that defensive shutdown was against a really good offensive team in Indy?
They were committed to stop the run. They knew they came in with the number one rushing offense with Jonathan Taylor, and the offense ran through him. So if they can minimize that, make Daniel Jones one-dimensional, throwing the football down the field and eliminating that play-action game, they felt they had a chance, and they went out there and they proved that they can deliver.
Big turnover like that makes a big difference in the game. I also think the Steelers were very good on first down, and it made it second and long in a difficult situation. All right, let's head out to California right now. Rich Walsh joins us from the Steelers team hotel with more news and notes about the Steelers heading into this game. Rich, it's early out there, but thank you very much for getting up. The hair looks primed.
Thanks, no question about it. We got the palm trees. The sun's not out yet, but it will be pretty soon. And it was definitely a different feeling and a better feeling in the Steelers locker room this week, and there's no doubt about that. That's what happens when you play your best game against the best team. And the two leaders on this team, Ken Hayward and Aaron Rodgers, said it's definitely something they can build upon.
Just consistency with the details. Really all the plays, run game, passing game, just little things like that.
I don't know if it's a why, but, I think it's just, our plan was solid, but I think it's just our execution was higher. And, you got to do that, play in and play out. The run game, it's usually not just one guy, it's 11 guys, and, we had a lot of hats on the ball.
All right, now it's time to bring our Steelers insider, Gerry Dulac, in, who looks like he's ready to golf, and we got the weather out here for it. But, one of the topics I wanted to ask you about is the trade deadline. It came, it passed, the Steelers didn't do anything. Did you expect them to do something more?
Rich, I didn't, but I will tell you they certainly tried. And in fact, they thought they actually had a deal for a wide receiver who would have been a quality wide receiver, and it just kind of fell through, and not from their end. They were looking maybe for a veteran defensive lineman, for backup purposes when Daniel Qualley went out for the rest of the season. But, they were sniffing around and kicking tires about a wide receiver, and they were close, but it didn't work out. They want to protect their draft capital, Rich. There's no question about it. They weren't going to go shopping guys, but they were going to listen. They did their due diligence, but they were close to making a deal. It just didn't work out.
Well, they're coming off their best game defensively, 6 turnovers. They haven't done something like that since 2010, and they did it with a banged-up secondary. So they had to move a guy, Jalen Ramsey, over to safety. Do you expect that to be a long-term fix for this defense?
Rich, I think it's going to last certainly as long as Deshaun Elliott is out, and we're still not sure how long he is going to be out. We know he's on IR. It's going to be obviously a minimum 4 games, 3 now, but at least that, I'm guessing. And so, but yeah, I think they are going to stick so far with what has been working, and we saw it work last week. Now, the Steelers have given up 3 300-yard passes in a row, so you have to be aware of that. But I think they like what they did last week, and they're going to stick with that.
Well, the Steelers have been famous for being dominant on Monday nights, not so much on Thursday nights and Sunday nights. And if you take a look at this graphic since 2018, the Steelers are only 4-10 on Sunday nights in that span. And, that's since 2018. They've struggled a little bit. Why do you think that?
Rich, it's hard to explain why that happens. It could be partly coincidence. For the same reason, why are the Steelers 44-16-1 the last 9 years in October and November? That's a 730 winning percentage, which is pretty darn good. So I don't know, maybe those Sunday night games are being played in September and December, but so much of that is circumstantial. It's really hard to point a finger on why that happens, and I know what they are on Sunday nights. Look at them on Monday nights, though. They're terrific.
Well, the guys are already up and ready to go, and Sunday night's a little sooner here, so that might help. Guys, back to you.
Anything to change the vibe. All right, guys, thanks very much. We'll check back in with them a little bit later in the broadcast. One thing that has really improved the Steelers in a positive direction is the fact that the team has improved under center from recent seasons. Aaron Rodgers has done wonders for the stat line when you take a look at it, putting up more passing yards per game, improving the completion percentage, and nearly doubling the touchdown productivity per game, especially in the red zone, which brings us to Charlie's weekly quarterback analysis brought to you by Cleveland Brothers. Seems like Rodgers is kind of changing a lot of the plays at the line of scrimmage. Is he actually doing that from a quarterback point of view, or are those dummy calls?
No, you do have some dummy calls in there, but Aaron, at the line of scrimmage, he has full autonomy of this offense, so he can do what he wants to do at the line of scrimmage, and you know he's going to get you in the right play. Mentally, he's one of the best in the game that's ever do it, but ultimately, looking at it, if you are a 4th or 5th option in this offense, you better be prepared to get the ball because he's going to figure out a way to find you, and that's what he loves to bring to this offense, and I'm just excited to watch it.
Even if your name is Spencer Anderson. Yes, indeed. Let's take a quick look at the standings in the AFC North, which have really not changed too much in recent weeks. The Steelers remain atop of the division, 5-3 record, 1-1 in AFC North play, important 4-1 in the conference. The Ravens are clawing their way back, 2 wins in a row. They're now 3-5. The Bengals are 3-6, and right behind them, the Browns are 2-6 with no wins in the division and a lowly 1-7 conference record. All right, we're just getting started here on Steelers Kickoff. When we come back, Rich talks with one of the young playmakers making a difference on defense, Payton Wilson. It's up next right here on BetMGM Steelers Kickoff.
Welcome back to BetMGM Steelers Kickoff.
All right, welcome back, everyone. You know, big plays, splash plays. They were a big reason the Steelers' defense dominated the Colts last week. And leading the way was inside linebacker Payton Wilson, who really showed great leadership and has grown in recent weeks. Rich Walsh caught up with him at practice before making the trip out west.
Hey, so first of all, great game. Yeah. You know, how'd that feel to have a game like that?
It was cool. Just to be building on the last few weeks that I've put together and to have the game that I did Sunday was really special. Just excited to continue to build and continue to have a lot more games in Pittsburgh like that.
Are you excited about the trajectory of this defense right now? Seems like you guys you found something.
Yeah. I mean, I've been excited about it all year. You know, it finally clicked. We just have to be able to put a whole game together. I feel like in the past few games, you saw glimpses of it. Like, hey, against Green Bay, the first half, it's like, wow, like they finally showed up, and then the second half comes and we didn't show up.
For you personally, do you feel like you have some momentum now? I know you've, been up and down this season, had your struggles, but it seems like lately things have been going pretty well.
Yeah, it's been going good. I feel like just building each game. There were a few things in the beginning of the season that I had to get corrected, got those corrected, and it's just been each game I feel like I've got a little more confident, played a little better, and just hopefully continue to build off of that.
You come from a family of athletes, but it seems like you have the bragging rights because you were drafted 98th, and I think your brother was drafted 109.
Yeah, I think that's right. My brother has been in the MLB for quite some time now, got drafted out of high school. He's with the White Sox now, has been with the Brewers, Pittsburgh, and won a World Series in Atlanta. So he's had a really successful career, still playing. So it's great having him around. He's a great role model. Obviously was very blessed at a young age and handled it really well, so it was really cool to see.
Yeah, he'd like to get a ring just like his brother. So, Charlie, 14 tackles is really a lot in an NFL game. What impressed you the most about Wilson's performance last week?
Yeah, I think when you talked about it, you heard him tell you there was mistakes he was making earlier in the year, and he's found a way to figure that out. This guy's playing with a lot of speed, a lot of confidence. He has 71 tackles on the year. That's 15 tackles more than the next person. So he knows the game is slowing down for him, and it's just beautiful to watch him as he continues to develop because he wants to be one of the best linebackers in the league. And when you're making plays like this, everybody takes notice.
Yeah, and Jack Sawyer said thank you very much, Peyton. We appreciate that. When we come back here on Steelers Kickoff, Rich is back with a preview of Justin Herbert and the Chargers, who are a bit banged up. Stay here. We're coming back right after this. Steelers coming off a very impressive win at home against the team that had a 7-1 record. Up next, it's the Chargers.
This crowd, terrible towels in abundance.
Go out there, fight fast, fight free, and fight together.
All right, thanks to Steelers Media Productions for getting us pumped up for Sunday night showdown later today. For more on the Bolts, we're going to send it back to the Steelers Hotel. Rich Walsh, a team that is capable of doing some big things, Rich, but also has some injuries.
Yeah, no question about it. Last year when the Chargers were in Pittsburgh facing the Steelers, a key injury during the game helped the Steelers. This year, the Chargers are dealing with key injuries before the game that could help the Steelers.
The last time these two teams faced off, the Steelers knocked starting quarterback Justin Herbert out of the game on this sack, which helped them pull away late to a 10-point win. This year, Herbert is healthy and playing well, but you can't say the same for his surrounding cast. Both of their starting offensive tackles, Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt, are injured and have already been ruled out. To make matters worse, their top backup at tackle, Bobby Hart, was hurt last week and will not play.
We're all trying to find a way. We're all doing our best to win. And, whether that's the team, the front office, training staff, coaching staff, everyone's doing their best. And you got to appreciate that. And as long as the season is and as much adversity as we might deal with, the mission never stops.
And they're also banged up a running back. Former Steeler Najee Harris tore his Achilles in Week 3, and his backup, first-round pick Marion Hampton, is also out with an ankle injury. But so far, they've been able to overcome those missing starters due to terrific play from Herbert and a deep group of wide receivers. The trio of Ladd McConkey, Keenan Allen, and Quentin Johnson have all been very productive and present a matchup nightmare for the secondary.
Herbert alive, and the throw, caught, touchdown, Allen, what a play!
Defensively, they rank in the middle of the pack in most categories. They're near the top in least yards allowed, but towards the bottom in takeaways, which is something that could hurt them if the Steelers defense keeps up their ball-hawking ways.
So stopping Justin Herbert will obviously be a key tonight. Taking a look at today's South College game plan, Herbert leads the league in completions, is second in both yards and touchdowns. But he's thrown a lot of interceptions and has been sacked a ton. And the Steelers defense is well aware of that, especially with the Chargers' injuries. Now it's time to bring our Steelers insider Gerry Dulac in. And last year, you remember Herbert was knocked out of the game. That was a key to the Steelers' win. Do you expect similar kind of sack numbers this game for the Steelers?
Well, Rich, we saw the way they played last week. Very aggressive played with an edge is what Jalen Ramsey implored them to do the night before. They ended up with 5 sacks. Probably more importantly and even more incredibly, they had 13 passes defensed, Rich, second most in the NFL this season. And a lot of that's because of their pressure. Justin Herbert was sacked 5 times last week against Tennessee, 28 on the year. Only 2 quarterbacks have been sacked more, and both of those are young guys, Drake May and Cam Ward. So, and without Joe Alt, I'm sure they're going to bring the pressure on Justin Herbert.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And no question the Steelers have to continue to turn the ball over. They can't go into another turnover drought. Guys, back to you.
Oh, good point there. Thank you, gentlemen. Another thing, as Gerry said, that they did well last week was break up passes, something that they have not done that well consistently. Charlie, they talked about simplification of the defense. What does that actually mean, and how did it help them?
Yeah, when you have new people on the back end, you want to make sure that the communication is always clean. So when you have your game plan coming in, you're trying to switch certain coverages, you want to make sure everybody is playing that coverage. And sometimes you just have to sit back, whether that's cover 2, making sure that you're not allowing teams to get over the top. And the Steelers did that last week, and that was very important when you talk about those sacks, because coverage and sacks, they go hand in hand.
Absolutely. All right, now it's time to send the program to New York City. James Brown is standing by with an update on what's coming up on the NFL Today following our program here. Take it away, JB.
Hey, Bob, up next on the NFL Today, Drake May and the Patriots ride a 6-game winning streak into Tampa. That for a showdown with Baker Mayfield and the Bucs. We'll preview that one. And speaking of Baker, we get a chance to chop it up with the star quarterback. Then our guy J.J. Watt taps in to share what's on his mind. And your Hall of Fame coach, that will be Bill Cowher, breaks down the stout Seattle defense. But first, Bob and Charlie, they'll be right back when Steelers Kickoff continues right here on KDKA.
Steelers Kickoff is presented by McClellan's Contracting and Roofing. If our name goes on it, we stand behind it, so you can stand in it.
All right, welcome back here on Steelers Kickoff. The show, has been heavily focused on the Steelers' defensive performance from last week because of how their success guides this team to wins. Take a look at how sacks for the defense really equates to more wins for the Steelers. In their wins this season, the Steelers have amassed 23 total sacks, good enough for 4.6 per game. Meanwhile, in the 3 losses, the team has only 3 sacks and 1 per game. It's definitely not a recipe for success. So, Charlie, why do you think the Steelers have been so hot and cold, so streaky when it comes to this?
Yeah, you touched on it earlier. The Steelers are winning first downs when they're winning the game. But in those losses, they didn't win on first down, and that creates more third and short opportunities. But if you can get them in third and long, and especially when you're playing at home, getting the crowd behind you, that offensive line gets off to a split-second slower start. And guess what? Advantages to the defense. That's why the sacks happen more in the victories.
It's interesting. The Chargers are still favored in this game, even though they have all these injuries. And one thing about the Steelers, just when you expect them to do well, like against a bad offensive line in Cincinnati, they don't do what they're supposed to do. And in this game, you would think with all these tackles out that they would be really an invitation to go after Herbert.
And this is why you can't take your opponent lightly, because this is the situation where, yes, it's easy to say we're going to dominate that line of scrimmage, but yet if you don't put on that performance, everybody's wondering. So they have to make sure that these keys are going to continue throughout the course of the game to allow them to take advantage of this particular matchup.
All right, Charlie, we're getting very close to a big fundraising event for the Batch Foundation. It is this Thursday. What's going on with In the Pocket?
Yeah, it's just days away from our 16th annual In the Pocket event. This is our pool, poker, ping pong, and this year we are adding cornhole to the equation. We are doing this on November the 13th, and this helps raise funds for our Best of the Batch Foundation and our out-of-school time and our STEAM programs that we have. So we are truly excited about this event. We are going to do it at the Distillery Complex right here in Pittsburgh. Again, it's Thursday, November 13th. You see the QR code on the screen. All additional information is at batchfoundation.org. And if you can't be around in the city in the 10, we have huge silent auction opportunities available online. So I just want to thank everybody for the support for Best of the Batch Foundation.
So if you're out there, you want to take on Charlie in ping pong, or even James Harrison, who does not like to lose, right?
No, he
doesn't like to lose. I don't care who he's playing. You have an opportunity down there at In the Pocket. Best of luck and congratulations. You guys do a phenomenal job. All right, we're almost out of time here on Steelers Kickoff, and when we come back, the team is back with the predictions on tonight, what we think may happen, and a look at today's schedule right here on KDKA. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to BetMGM Steelers Kickoff.
Big one tonight, SoFi Stadium, Steelers and Chargers, 2 teams that are very much in the playoff hunt. Let's go out to the West Coast right now and get some predictions from Rich and Jerry. Gentlemen.
Well, we're a few hours away, and the Steelers are underdogs in this one, but I think this one will be a close one. I think the Steelers found something, Jerry, with Jalen Ramsey moving to safety. I know he's going to do it again this week, and he did it because of injuries, but I think it's working for the Steelers, and I think it helps today. I like the Steelers in a close one, and it's been close the last couple years, especially the last time they were here. I like the Steelers 27-24.
You know, Rich, the Steelers did something last week that we don't often see them do once you get to the second half of the season, and that's beat a team with a winning record. Not only just a winning record, one of the better teams in the league. And, of course, the Colts came in with the best record in the league. They have to prove they can do it again. It's a good opportunity to get pressure on Justin Herbert. He makes a lot of plays. We've seen that happen. But until they go prove it, I'll be a little skeptical about backing up wins against top teams. I like the Chargers in this game, Rich, 30-27.
We'll see if they can prove it here tonight. Guys, back to you in Pittsburgh.
All right, split decision out there. Charlie, you're going to break the tie one way or the other here.
Absolutely. I like what I saw in practice this week on the South Side. These guys were focused, paying attention to detail, and I think offensively they're going to get it going because I expect them to control the time of possession here. With that being said, Chris Boswell, I believe, kicks the winning field goal. They win this game 26-23.
All right, I will agree. I think the Steelers are going to win a very close game. My biggest concern is Justin Herbert running with the football. Last time they met in 2021, not counting last year, he almost had 100 yards rushing, and he's capable of doing with his arms and his leg. If they over-pursue and create opportunities, he could take it and run with it. So that's going to do it for our program today. I want to remind you, coming up next, it's the NFL Today on CBS and KDKA. We have New England and Tampa Bay, a very interesting 1 o'clock matchup, and tonight we'll wrap it all up. And remember, we're live tonight, 11:35, with the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. Andrew Filipponi, Will Graves, and Mike DeCourcy will join me. Instant analysis when the game is over. Make the switch to KDKA. For Gerry and Rich and Charlie, I'm Bob Pompeani. Have a great weekend, great game day, and we'll see you Thursday in the pocket.